Last time we checked out the towns around Ísafjörður, Bolungarvík with the Ösfjörður Maritime Museum, Suðuroy with its fishing heritage, and Skötufjörður with views of whales, mountains, but no Arctic foxes this time. But now it's time to leave the Westfjords and take up accommodations in Akureyri. What time is it? Oh God, what time is it? What time is it? What time is it? Sadly, it was time to leave Ísafjörður, even with so much that we did not get to see or do. I mean, I didn't even go across the street to use the bounce pad. The kids were constantly on it. Bethany was glued to road.is to make sure the planned route would be clear. The Big Mountain Pass had been closed due to ice cover during our time in the northern Westfjords. We took to Route 61 out of town to wind our way slowly out of the Westfjords, a trip that a van full of young travelers was also doing at the same time. Both of our vehicles were the majority of the traffic on the road that morning as we enjoyed the mountains and the fjords as we drove. Upon reaching Skötufjörður, we were surprised by a sign saying Seals, and we saw the van pulled off alongside the road, so we quickly did the same, and we're happy to see some seals in the wild. They were out there lounging like seals do. Up the road from there was Litlibær, a coffee house with Icelandic heritage on display, and a puppy. I popped out the car to take a picture, not knowing that this is a highly regarded place to stop, and the pupper is very friendly. We kind of kicked ourselves for skipping out on that experience of stopping there. But we did have about a 7-hour trip to get to our destination. Continuing on, there's just an insane amount of small waterfalls you can see from the road. After some time, we came to Hrutey, which stood out to me because of the makeshift scarecrows around the island. There apparently were nesting birds being protected in the area, but I am still trying to figure out the purpose of the maritime fake people. I'm just assuming it's getting people's attention to stay away. After Reykjavik, it was time for the mountain pass. While the road was labeled as clear, there was still snow on the road in some parts, but easy enough to drive. We're from Wisconsin after all. A little snow on the road shouldn't stop us. The pass took us over to Steingrímsfjörður and on to Hólmavík, a small town in an area of Iceland known for sorcery. This is the home of the Museum of Sorcery and Witchcraft. It's known for its former sorcerer, Sigurður Atlason, who passed away in 2018. It's also known for the necropants, a recreation of a pair of pants made from the flayed skin of the lower half of a man. And it's also known for Hippo, the cat curator of the museum. Now, we didn't explore the museum due to the long car ride still ahead of us, and Bethany didn't really care to see the necropants, but we drove through the town to see the area. From here, we traveled on 61 back to 60 and Búðardalur. Google Maps had us traveling back to Route 1 where we left it, and that didn't really seem the best use of our time, and after reviewing some options, we chose to take Route 59 so we could save some time. This route took on a moniker, Baby Lamb Row, due to all the newly birthed lambs we could see along the road, and Bethany frightened them with the car. Back on the ring road, we set into a mode that was all about crossing as much land as possible with as little breaks as possible, trying to make up some time to get to our destination within a decent time. Before long, we crossed through Blönduós, which looks like an interesting place for hiking along the Blönduós River. Further on, we stopped at the Stephan G. Stephansson Monument because it was a good time for a break and we were curious what the monument stood for. Mr. Stephansson was a very influential Icelandic writer who immigrated to Wisconsin at the age of 19, and then left Wisconsin for Canada a few years later. He was known for writing only in Icelandic and shared many beliefs with Ralph Waldo Emerson. So once again, we find our connection to the state of Wisconsin on our travels. Well, actually, it was the second connection because I also met a local in Reykjavik who was originally from the Milwaukee area before moving to Iceland in the early 70s, so it's another one! Another Wisconsin connection! The horses on the other side of the river were a warm-up for what we would see down the road. It's a good view from here. The mountains are far in the distance, the river running through a small canyon. Icelandic horses are beautiful. I believe there was also another disc map close by here as well. Once again, taking to the ring road, we passed a controlled stampede of horses before the road clung to the side of Hörgarsveit, before reaching a valley through the mountains. Here, we took a break at Hörgarsveit, and it's a great place for a break. There is a big canyon with a river flowing through it, and you are right in the middle of huge mountains. There's so much to look at here and enjoy. This is also very close to where the country is divided up between the northwestern region and the northeastern region. This would also be our last stop before our destination. The remainder of the mountain valley was gorgeous and very different from the mountains in the Westfjords. On the other side of the mountains, we came into Akureyri, the capital of the north, along with a bonus. But first things first, we had to take a picture of the heart-shaped stoplights. They're cute! Once downtown on the water, you can't miss the Hof Cultural and Conference Center. I see it in almost every video of Akureyri, and if you stretch, you can also see the well-known Akureyrar from the road as well. Not to mention art along the waterfront. Soon after arriving to town, we found our AirBnB, a lovely homestay that Golfina and her husband invite travelers into. And if you decide to stay at this same Airbnb, she will be like your Icelandic mother during your stay. The room was snug with the bed lifted high to assist you getting views out the window before you fall asleep after the adventures you had during the day. Guests have access to many utilities here, from the kitchen to laundry and their magnificent bathroom. On top of it all is the amazing views you get from the property. You'll also get a new best friend, their cat Cleopatra. We arrived in May, and May is the time for lambs. Golfina's family run a small farm nearby, and she will bring you along to either observe or partake in chore time on the farm. But first, you need to pass the rams. I've seen far too many failed videos to get too close to these two. The whole family is involved with the farm, and they all spoke English very well. They took the time to let us snuggle the youngest babies and teach us about the practice of running a sheep farm. It was an amazing experience. And baby lambs.
How old are they?
They were born yesterday. 2 days old.
Oh, 2 days. Making the bed?
After returning the babies to their mother and back to the house, we started our chill out before bed. It was around 10 p.m. and still very bright out. It wasn't until around midnight did it actually get dark. And even then, not as dark as it looks in this video. Next time, we check out the nearby Blönduós, warm up in the Mývatn nature baths, and even get closer to the whales in Húsavík. Come back next time for more Iceland 2021.